Hi, and welcome to part 7 of my series free on YouTube, which is all about the ukulele, and it's entitled How to Play the Ukulele in 10 Easy Steps. Now, as it suggests, there are 6 other videos as well to watch, and it would make more sense if you have a look at those before joining me on this one. However, if you do want to be brave, you can jump in at the deep end. Now, to help, there is also a downloadable worksheet which you can print off, and that will help you with this particular episode. Today, we're going to be looking at 3 different types of chords. We're going to be looking at the added ninth chord, the ninth chord, and also a chord called the sus4. Now, don't worry too much about the technical side of things because I'm sure you would have heard these chords before but not realised what they were. So today, hopefully, I'm going to sort that out for you. So without further ado, why don't we have a look at the included worksheet that you should have in front of you, and I'm just going to explain 1 or 2 things a little bit deeper. Right, folks, so here I am down in the bottom corner. Hello. And basically what I'm going to do is just take you through the sheets that you should have printed out in front of you and just take you through them basically. We've got 3 or 4 sections. So the top one is chord examples with what we call the added ninth. This is completely different from the ninth chord, as you'll find out as we go through. So we have C add 9 and we have F add 9. We've got G add 9, and what I'm going to do is give you some examples. As you can see here, some tunes here. Also, there is a derivative which is just called the 9 or ninth, as some say. So this is completely different from the added 9, and I'll make that clear as we go through. So again, we've got E flat 9, we've got A9, we've got C9. And then we're going to go to what's called the sus4. What a crazy name. But yeah, sus4, I'm sure you would have heard them before. And as per usual, I'm going to give you some examples of those tunes where they would use these sort of chords. So I've done you C sus4, G sus4, and F sus4. And then just on the end, we're going to look at how you can where you can resolve to. So all these types of chords need to end up somewhere. So you could either end up following a sus4 chord into a major, or you can do it into a minor. So that's enough of me yapping on with this sheet. Let me give you some examples. Okay, just before we get started, you probably noticed there is a camera over my shoulder here. That wouldn't normally be there, but my son is doing a project for university, and I said he could kind of sort of just sneak in the background, so hopefully it doesn't put you off. Let's start then with the first chord, which is the group of chords which are the added ninth. Okay, so without getting too technical, because I'm not deep in theory at all, let me show you what they sound like. Okay, so if this is a major, C major, and I was to add a ninth, basically I'm putting a D into it, so it sounds like this. Now I'd like you to play this chord, so if you can't see it on my fingers here, just have a look at the computer graphic and then you can see in more details with suggested fingers to use. I'm using my pinky and my first finger for doing that. So this is C add 9. Just have a go at it. Now all these chords have to what we call resolve. They need to go somewhere. And later on we're going to be showing examples in minors and majors, but for now we're just going to stay with majors. So let's see where that could go to. So we're going to just play 2 on there and then resolve it to C major. Okay, just do 2 on each. Okay, and just do that a few times. Now you've probably heard that sequence before but not realized what it was. Okay, now I'm just going to pick tunes at random. In C I could do this, Without You by Harry Nilsson, of course. So we got no, I can't forget this evening, though your face says you were leaving, but I guess that's just as the first opening chords are the C add 9 to the C. Simple as. So that's our C add 9. Let's change our key. Let's go to F add 9. So we're going to play an F, and what we're going to do is add our pinky onto the second string, 3rd fret. Now in my diagram, if you printed it in colour, you'll notice that I've left something in green, and that is what my index finger is doing. The reason for that is with this particular chord, the first one, is not needed. However, we're going to resolve to the F major, so we may as well have it there just waiting, but it isn't needed for that. But let's leave it on anyway. So that would sound like this. Yeah, and let's resolve it to the F. So like we did with Without You, let's do the same thing. 2 on each, alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, of course, we could sing Without You, just in a different key. But let's give you some variety. There's a band called Bread, and they did a song called Lost and All Alone, if I can remember it. So it literally starts the same way as Without You. I'm lost and all alone. Da, 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 da. I think that was the second chord, but you get the idea. So the same sort of principle as we used in Without You, we've changed the key, and we've adapted it for the piece Lost and All Alone. There are hundreds of songs out there. These are just some examples. So let's go to G. Now, if you have a look here, we've got our G there, and we're going to add on, I like to use my thumb here. Yeah. So I'm holding a G with the standard fingers, and I'm popping my thumb over the top. Now you could argue that you could do something like that. But for me, that is just too much of a knot. Yeah, I just find it easier just to throw the thumb over the top. If you can do that, fine. If you prefer to do this, I can't even do it. It's up to you, okay? So, whichever way you want to use, we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to do 2 on each. So let's do 2 with it on, and then take it off for 2. 2 with it on, 2 with it off. Let's count 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do the same thing, but a bit quicker, and it will make sense why in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now if we put a note in between, which is the D, before we play it as a G, so we go. Why do birds suddenly up? You get the idea, yeah? So there's 3 examples in 3 keys. I will write all these out for you in later lessons. We're going to do a huge chord chart with all these chords. But for now, we've shown it with a C, C add 9. We've done it with F add 9. And we've done a G add 9. Okay, so we've looked at the added 9 chords and now we're going to simplify it. Well, simplify in name. Instead of added 9, we're just going to go for 9. Okay, so you know how you know C7? Well, this is a great replacement for every single 7 that you've learnt so far, and it gives it a bit of a jazzy feel. So therefore, just as an example, if I was to play C7, if I was to play C9, it just adds a little bit more spice to it, and especially if I was to play it in a progression, which I will in a moment. Okay, so the first one I want us to have a look at is this one. So if you put a bar on the first fret and just cover strings 1, 2 and 3 and play it, every string. So even though my finger isn't covering the 4th string, I want you to play it anyway. I use this chord all the time. The name of it is E flat 9, E flat 9. So where could I use that? Okay, we've got a piece called I'll See You in My Dreams. I'll see you in my dreams. Wow, isn't that nice? Yeah? Do you want to just do that with me? All I've done is gone from B flat to the E flat 9. I'll start us off with a couple of chords, F and F7. You ready? Join me now. I'll see you in my dreams. Yeah, so nice chord that is. Our next one, A9. So let's have a look at this chord. So let's do it together. So if we start off with an A7th, just using your index finger, and using any one of the 3 remaining fingers, I want you to go on to the 1st string, 2nd fret, and this is the sound that we're looking for. So where could I use that? Well, I'm thinking along the terms of like 5'2". Yeah, so the 3rd chord along is A7, and as I said to you at the beginning, these 9ths will replace all the 7ths if you want them to, but for now I'm just going to replace the 3rd chord in 5'2", which was A7, and I'm going to be playing A9 instead. So let's have a listen to 5'2" with the A9. Here we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5'2", eyes of blue. Da, da, dun, 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 dun. So it adds a little bit of something, doesn't it? Yeah? Okay. That is our A9. We've got one more, and the next one is C9. So if you start off with a C7th, like so, a regular C7th, and with any one of the 3 fingers you've got left, just go on to the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and it sounds like this. Okay, now there are many pieces where you could feature this, but let's just find a sort of piece. I woke up this morning, da da ba ba ba, bum bum, ba 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 ba, bum ba 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 ba. And so on. So what it does is adds a heck of a lot to a blues piece. So instead of playing a C7, play a C9. So all these that I've shown you so far, in the 9th is the E flat 9. We've done the A9, and we've also looked at the C9. Of course, there's going to be a 9 for every single note that's out there, including all the sharps and flats. But for today, I just wanted to give you a taster of what they sounded like, some for you to practice, and I hope you're enjoying it. Next thing we're going to do is look at a chord with a very funny name, and that is sus4. My goodness, what does that sound like? Right, so we're on to the final types of chord for today, and that is the sus4. Now then, I reckon you've heard these all over the place, but again, not realised what they were called. Let's explore a few of them. So let's look at the first one that we've got. If you have a look at your sheet, it is C sus4. So you're going to create a C. I tend to do it with my pinky and then with my index finger on the second string first fret. Okay, do you want to play that with me, just so you get a feel for it? Bet you've heard that before, haven't you? So, where could we use that? If we basically, again, resolve it to the major. But if we put a little bit of a rhythm with it, let's see if you recognise it. This thing. And so on, you get the idea. Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen uses that sus4. I've just done it in the key of C. It could be done in many different keys. I think the original was done in G on the guitar, but just for now I've used it in the key of C. Okay, a really nice one in the key of G is G sus4. So basically, if you create a G and pop this finger on as well. So basically the pinky is going on the first string third fret, and it sounds like this. Now once again in green, this finger, the second finger, I've put in green because it's not needed to create that chord. However, it's a lot easier, I think, if you just play that G and stick on that extra finger as well, okay, rather than getting you to do that, which is a very difficult chord to find. So start with a G and put that on at the same time, even though the second finger isn't needed. Okay, do you want to have a go? Okay, now the one that came to mind here was a piece by Boston all those years ago. My sort of rock years are coming back, okay. And there was this lovely little riff that went sort of... So you're starting on the G. So to get that note there, we're actually doing G sus, between G and G sus. So that is our G sus. Where can we go next? F sus. Okay, now then, this is quite hard to do here because we're going to hold an F, but we're going to flatten this finger, okay, and we end up with this sort of sound, which kind of contradicts itself a little bit because there's two notes which are clashing. So I'm going to move it to a different position, and this is on your chord sheet as well, and that is to create a bar on the 5th fret. Okay, with your pinky, pop your pinky on the first string, fret number 8. Number 7, by the way, should have a mark on it, so you know where 8 is, next to it. And with your index finger, go onto the second string on the 6th fret. Okay, again, if you can't see here, either look at your sheet or look at the screen, and it sounds like this. Okay, now if I was to resolve that to the major, all I need to do is take off what's on the second string. And that takes me to an F major, yeah? So I've got basically F sus4 or F. Okay, I think you know where this is going, don't you? Yeah, fantastic tune. Now, if you can play it there with a bar, we're covering every string, aren't we? Yeah, so there's no reason why I can't move down, say, to the 3rd fret and do the same thing. And again, no reason why I can't go down to the first fret. Or even down as low as it will go. Okay, you know where it's going now, don't you? Okay, so Pinball Wizard, we've got this lovely sort of rhythm with the right hand, sort of. Okay, so we've got this going on. 1, 2, 3, go. Something like that, but you get the idea. So what we did then, if you recall, is we did a sus with F, then we took it down to E flat, then we took it to C sharp, and finally on C. So I find them fascinating, and once you've heard them, like today, hopefully you're going to be listening to the radio, CDs, whatever, and you'll hear these chords and you'll say, that's a sus4. I know that because Peter Moss taught me that. Hopefully you will anyway. So just before we go, there's a couple of other things I just want to just show you about resolving from these chords to other chords. Okay, so let me show you two different ways of how to resolve from the sus4. So I'm going to show you first of all as a major. Now, I'm showing my age now, and I was a rocker in the 70s playing guitar, and there was a piece by a band called Argent, and it was called Hold Your Head Up, and it had this wonderful kind of sus4 intro to it that went over two chords. It sounded like this. Have heard it in the past. You may not be as old as me, but anyway, so that is the basic chords that they use. So from the sus4 to a major, and the major is that because that is the third note within the major. So we have first, third and fifth. The third there is a major. However, if we were to what we call flatten that third to there, so instead of there going down to the flattened the third is the minor version of it. So if I was to play the major chord there, if I was to play the minor chord, okay, so what would happen if I didn't go, yeah, and I ended up doing this? Still works, doesn't it? Yeah, it works. So, but I'm going to pick a different tune to actually demonstrate it. And the one I'm going to do is by a band called Foreigner, one of my favourite rock tracks of all time, called Cold as Ice. Yeah, and they've got this sort of thing going on. So you got to. So there you go. It proves that you can resolve either to a major or a minor. And what I'd like you to do for your homework is have a listen to loads and loads of tunes and pick out, is it a sus4? Is it a diminished? Is it a C add 9? Is it a C9? You know, it doesn't really matter whether it's a C9, a G9, an F9, but are you recognizing the sound of the ninth chord or the added ninth chord or the sus4 chord, which is what we've been talking about today. So if you've enjoyed this, I do have a channel, a YouTube channel, and it's literally Peter Moss Ukulele. And if you subscribe to it and hit what's called a notification bell, you will be notified when the next one in this series comes along, or any videos in the future. Now, the word subscribe, typically you think to yourself it means I'm paying for it. No, it's absolutely free of charge. There's no sign up. You just literally hit two things. You hit the subscription thing, which I'm going to put something at the end of this video, and then there's what's called a notification bell. If you tick that and select all, that means that every video that I upload in the future, you will be notified. And of course, if you no longer want to be notified, you can just unsubscribe. So hopefully you will subscribe, because it helps me out. I'm doing these for free. I'm just trying to get my name out there. Also, I run something a little bit more in depth, which is called Ukulele Shortcuts. Now, this is done via the Patreon system, and what that does basically is goes, as I say, a little bit deeper, but it's an online ukulele community that I'm building up. It's been running now for about 2.5 years. We have to date about 70 members from all over the world, and the great thing is I set tasks for people, and I get people to send in videos of them completing those tasks, even if they are work in progress. And it's fantastic to see this, because if it was just me teaching, sending videos out, I wouldn't enjoy it as much as receiving the videos back. Then I know people are actually watching them and actually getting something from it. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Ukulele Shortcuts, I'll put a link in the description below. So for today, we've looked at the added ninth, we've looked at the ninth, and we've looked at the sus4. The next one's going to be out in about 2 weeks' time. I hope to see you all then. Take care, stay safe. Ta-ra!